You're listening to the Station 71 podcast with your hosts, Mario,
Beth,
and Brian.
So this week, as always, let's dive into the news first. We got some cool and exciting things to talk about. First up, we have some behind-the-scenes footage of the Slinky Dog coaster showing Toy Story Land's progress in Disney Hollywood Studios and Shanghai, which is super exciting because I know we're all excited about Toy Story Land. And this video kind of just took you behind the scenes, showed you some of the rides running, and gave everyone kind of a glimpse of what's going to happen in Toy Story Land. How do you guys feel about this?
I think it looks awesome.
Yeah.
There's I have so many feelings about this right now, and I'm just really excited that it's getting so much closer. Mm-hmm. And these videos just solidified the fact that it's right around the corner.
Yeah, it is sneaking up.
But along with that, we also got some photo renderings of the Star Wars inspired hotel that's going to be premiering along Galaxy's Edge, which is pretty cool. I know there were a couple things where you're going to be able to see space from some of the hotel rooms, and the theming looks really cool, but other than that, it's just photo rendering, so nothing super exciting yet. But lots of cool things coming to Disney's Hollywood Studios and the surrounding areas, so that's always a nice thing to be kind of on the lookout for.
Mm-hmm.
I think it looks really cool, like the artist rendering of the Star Wars hotel rooms, to me looks like a legit spaceship, so I think it's
You're gonna shell
pretty
out
awesome.
the money to stay there.
Probably not, but I'll dream about it.
I'm definitely envious of anyone that's going to be able to afford to do this.
Yeah. But I mean, it really does look like it's going to be a full just experience type thing, not just a place to stay. So I don't know if I can argue that it'll be worth it or not, but it's definitely cool.
What was the pricing like again? Do you guys remember?
It was something. It wasn't too bad considering all that you get for it, but it was still out of my price range. I know that much. And it was one of those things where they capped it at a 2-night minimum, I think. So it's definitely going to be an experience when it comes out.
Yeah, I for some reason I remember it being somewhere around $1,000 per person for a 2-night stay.
Sounds right.
Yeah, and it was. I think it was by person because you got all the the bonus adventure stuff included as well.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I don't know if they released official pricing yet, but I think that was the kind of rumor floating around, was the $1,000 per person kind of thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was the speculation pricing that we had reported on. So after that, we have a celebration of Disney's Animal Kingdom anniversary coming from April 22nd to May 5th. There's a couple things that they talked about with this, which is kind of exciting because it's always fun to have special events in the park. We're going to be getting some additional photo pass opportunities, animal encounters, and family-friendly activities, special desserts, and more. So there haven't been massive deals coming out, or not deals, massive announcements coming out yet, but it's cool to see another festival or another party thing coming to the parks.
Yeah. Especially with the Animal Kingdom, if it's more interactive stuff, which it sounds like it's going to be, I'm always for that, which I think Animal Kingdom is the most interactive park, and it's just cool to see more stuff like that added to it.
So the three things that they have announced for it, just to give everyone some more details, there's a backstage experience that's going to be offered at Rafiki's Planet Watch, where you can learn about dietary and nutritional needs of animals living in Animal Kingdom, and the opportunity to visit the veterinary hospital, which those are kind of similar, some standard stuff for Rafiki's Planet Watch. The Wilderness Explorers program is getting a limited edition badge. They haven't announced what it is yet, but that's exciting if you do the Wilderness Explorers program. And there are 6 different Tiffin's talks scheduled, which will be hosted by animal experts. Full details on those haven't been announced yet as well. So a couple cool things coming. So be on the lookout for that if you're a Animal Kingdom fan.
Yeah, I wish I could make it down for this. It sounds awesome.
This sounds like right up your alley.
Yeah, for sure.
So, last one. Brian, did you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, so I know a couple weeks ago we had talked about a rumor about Wonders of Life possibly getting a pretty major update with possibly a new ride or something put in it. Still nothing official from Disney, but we did get confirmation that it will no longer be the Festival Center, which it has been for the past 10 years, which is leading people to think that maybe something is coming after the roof refurbishment that went on a couple weeks ago. And now it's really looking like Disney's going to do something with it. Now, maybe that is completely demolishing it, or maybe it's putting in a new attraction, but either way, it appears something's going to be happening with it.
This is so exciting. I'm hoping we get an Inside Out attraction in here.
That would be great.
That'd be awesome.
I mean, we all know that stuff's coming to EPCOT, in the next couple of years, and it's looking like, I think D23 either this year or next year is going to be when a lot of big announcements for it are dropped. So I'm hoping that this is kind of the precursor to that.
This is the only park that hasn't gotten some major love in the last couple of years. I mean, we're getting the Guardians coaster and all that, but we had New Fantasyland come, we had Pandora in Animal Kingdom, and now we're getting all the stuff in Hollywood Studios. I think it's just natural that Epcot's got to be next.
Yeah, and especially I think Future World it has to be the one area in probably all of Disney World that needs an update.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Desperately needs an update.
So, last little bit of new stuff we got going on. It's more of a housekeeping thing. We are now on Spotify. If you prefer to listen to your podcasts on Spotify, you can listen to us on the mobile app or on the desktop app. Just search for Station 71, a Walt Disney World podcast, and we'll be there. So that's super exciting. But outside of that, are you guys ready to move on to our topic this week?
I was born for this topic.
So, this week we're going to be talking about Drinking Around World Showcase. Just kind of general overview of what you can get, where you can get it, and maybe some recommendations from those of us that have done it or, tried to. I want to talk about this I want to talk about some general overview first. General tips and stuff like that on what you think is the best way to approach this, because there's a lot of different ways to do this. So, first of all, I've done it twice, I think. Beth, you've done it. Brian, I think you've said you haven't. Is that correct?
I have not done it.
Okay. Have you snacked or anything around World Showcase, or just casually picked up a drink here and there?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I casually drink as I go around it. I've just never sat down and tried to do it as an official around the world.
Okay. So that's fair. At least you have some stuff you can chime in on too. But I want to talk first about the different strategies to attack this. As most of the people listening will know, when you walk up to World Showcase, you're faced with the choice of, do I go to Mexico or Canada first? And I know that a lot of people have different opinions on where you should start in World Showcase. Beth, do you have a preference?
Well, both times I've done it, I started in Mexico, and my thought process was tequila, just go ahead and get it out of the way. and then everything else is uphill from there.
I've read a lot of people that say that that's the worst way to start, but I've always started in Mexico. So, I guess since we're on the same page, that works out pretty well for us. In Mexico, there's 2 places that you could technically grab a drink at. There's a drink cart outside that serves margaritas and Dos Equis, which, if you'll notice, there's a couple places in here that just serve like pretty generic beers. If you're not feeling adventurous, it's an easy way to get your country in. And then there's my favorite, which is La Cava de Tequila, which has varying types of tequila and also margaritas. Do you have a drink of choice here, Beth?
Well, the first time I did it, I had the horchata margarita, and while I would say that it was absolutely delicious, and I hate tequila, I truly do, but it was really good, but it's not a drinking around the world drink. I learned the hard way because it's like milk, like creamy.
Oh.
So you can't drink it fast or you're going to like totally get off to the wrong, like on the wrong foot. But so I kind of had to take my time with that. I couldn't, kind of pound through it. But I also, last time I had, what did I have this past time? This past time we went to La Cava. I got some other kind of, oh no, it was called like a minty pineapple margarita, and I would not recommend it at all. And that's coming from like #1 pineapple fan in the universe. It was not very good. But horchata's good. Just don't do it if you're drinking around the world. Do it as like a casual grabbing a drink thing.
That sounds so disgusting.
It really does.
Well, I don't know if you guys have ever had rum chata.
Yeah.
It's basically that, but in a drink, like a drink form. It's very sweet. I like it though. I'm a sweet drinker anyway.
The first time I ever did like a drink around the world thing, we started in La Cava, and they do have a very like interesting choice on margaritas. Like I had an avocado margarita, which I feel like I would never have anywhere else. But then the second time we did tequila shots, which that was an experience.
What did you think of the avocado margarita? Because I've keep wanting to try it, but I just never get around to it.
The funny thing about it was like everybody else in my party had margaritas. Like we all tried the margaritas, and nobody else liked them. I liked mine. But the thing that I will say is that it definitely tasted like it was kind of like a pre-bagged thing. Like they had the margarita mix and they just threw it together. But it was okay. I mean, it was definitely different. That's the only thing that I can really say. But the one thing I do want to say is that La Cava is great if you don't know like what you want. A lot of the other carts and places to stop at, some of them are pretty knowledgeable. We'll get to some of the ones that I think are pretty good later. But one of the things that I really do like about La Cava is we went there when we went, and I did it with my uncle and my cousin, and we asked the person at the counter, like, what would you recommend? And they were like, oh, why don't you do a tequila flight and, just share them between you. So we kind of cheated on it. And
it's tequila. You're not cheating.
But he recommended a bunch of different ones based off of like, what we were talking about. And he was like, oh yeah, try this one, try that one. And we tried the ones that he recommended based off of the flight. And they were actually pretty good. So they're very knowledgeable about their tequila. So if you're not really into drinking and you want to try drinking around the world, obviously I wouldn't recommend tequila shots, but if you're trying it, then you might as well.
Yeah, this place has like a huge following.
Oh, it really does.
There's like a Twitter for it and everything.
I follow them on Twitter, no shade.
Yeah, no, I do too.
Have you tried anything here, Brian?
Actually no, which is kind of odd because Mexico is probably my favorite country and showcase. But I actually haven't had any alcoholic drinks in Mexico.
Aside from alcohol, though, the Choza de Margarita that just opened up outside of the pyramid has really good guacamole, and it comes with these they call it like chicharrones, which is normally like pork rinds or pork skins, but the ones that they serve here are actually like, it's just like fried flour that looks like pork skins. So it's very good and vegan friendly.
Nice.
Cool.
I didn't know that they had those. But bouncing off of that, another thing I want to talk about in this Drinking Around the World tour is ways that you can kind of pace yourself, and maybe some snack recommendations as well. So like kind of downtime things. So if you don't know, there is the Cantina de San Angel that's outside, quick service. Grab a plate of nachos or something, catch yourself a minute to breathe if this is maybe your last stop. But also, La Cava has chips and guac as well that you can order. And I've had them. They're pretty good. So throwing that recommendation out there.
I would also say, just personal preference, I think the Cantina is way better than the actual San Angel table service restaurant. So if you're looking for a full meal too, I would recommend going there.
Yeah, I actually totally agree with that. I, for a while, actually really liked San Angel Inn, and then I tried the Cantina. I was like, no, never again.
The like authentic tacos, like authentic, I guess I should say, style tacos that they have at the Cantina are really, really good.
I've never eaten it either.
I forget what I had. Oh, we ordered nachos there one time, and they were huge. So, like, if you really want to sit down and eat something, like, that's definitely something you could probably share between two people.
Mm-hmm. And I'm wanting to say the prices are pretty good as far as Disney goes, too.
Yeah, I remember them being pretty average. But you can also do, what is the ride? Wow, I'm drawing a blank on that. Oh my gosh, Grand Fiesta Tour.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, so now that we've all proved we're awful at Disney, let's move on to the next country if you guys don't have anything else to say about that. Norway is up next. Norway's pretty underwhelming with Drinking Around the World. There's the bakery has their specialty drink, which is called Viking coffee, and it's basically just alcoholic coffee. And then there's a drink cart outside that has Carlsberg beer, a couple Norwegian wines, and then a really strong shot of some potato alcohol that is very disgusting.
God. I was about to say, when you said Norway is underwhelming, I was like, I completely disagree. I think Norway is overwhelming in a bad way with their alcohol.
Okay, yeah, that one shot makes like the entire thing overwhelming. I've had the Viking coffee, and that's pretty good, but I feel like if I got it any other time than when I got it, I would have hated it because it was actually pretty cold in Epcot the day that we got it, so it like just hit the spot. If it was a hot day, I would steer clear of that.
Yeah, I'm not a coffee drinker, so like my options are very slim here. I don't like coffee, I don't like beer, and I'm very, very picky with wine. So normally the route that I go is whatever the like customary liquor drink is, and unfortunately that is the aquavite shot here. And
Have you've tried that?
I had it both times I drank Around the World, and it was just as bad this past time as it was in 2014.
Oh my goodness, I feel for you on that one.
It's, like the name of it, we were joking about, the name of it's like the water of life, and I was like, no, this is the water of death. It's disgusting. It's like licorice, but it's spicy, and it hurts. It burns. God, it burns.
I have heard nothing but bad things about it, so I've steered clear of it every time.
It's almost like, at this point, it's like a Beverly to me. It's like, you kind of got to do it once. So take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass. What about you, Brian? Have you tried anything here?
No, I guess I'm like most people. I kind of don't see anything super special about what they have in Norway, so I skip it.
I feel like it is really underwhelming. Like that one thing is probably the most like intense thing that they have, and I'm not gonna try it. But
It's probably the smart choice.
right. But off of that, my next point for all of these is downtime, quick bites to eat. Kringla Bakery is pretty good. They have school bread, so I'm biased. And if you want to wait 2 hours for frozen, by all means, there's some time to sober up.
Yeah, that's a good chunk of time to sober up.
Which brings us to China. China has the Joy of Tea, which is probably the most like easily accessible drink cart because it's literally like right there when you walk in. There's a lot of different drinks in China. I couldn't find the full menu for them, but I did find a couple of them. There's the Peach Snap and the Canto Loopy, which are probably the two most popular outside of the Tipsy Ducks in Love. I've had the Canto Loopy and the Tipsy Ducks in Love. The Canto Loopy is very dangerous because it tastes like straight juice. But other than that, that's pretty much all I've ever tried here.
I've had the plum wine, and it was actually pretty good.
That I have actually had, and I am not a big wine drinker, but I did actually enjoy that one.
I don't know how I feel about plums, but it definitely sounds interesting.
It's refreshing after Norway for sure.
Yeah, you definitely need something to like take that taste away. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say most of the festivals also have a kiosk here that has different like I don't know seasonal drinks, and from what I understand, they're not super strong, so it's like a not cheating way to pace yourself. You know, they don't pour it super heavy, but the drinks are typically pretty decent tasting.
That's pretty good. I mean, the nice thing about China, like from some of the stuff that I've read, I know firsthand that the Canto Loopy is very juicy, and I've heard the Peach Snap is the same way. So I feel like this is probably a good place if you don't like that alcohol taste.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like downtime and places or quick snacks, could grab a bite to eat at one of the quick service restaurants here. It's not too much to do. There's a couple places to like walk around in China, like some stores and exhibits. Anything that you guys want to add to that?
Well, they have, you know, in all these different pavilions, they have like little galleries. A lot, like, I don't know if they're in every single one, but they're in most for sure. This one is actually kind of cool because it has like I think it has a model, or at least it definitely has artwork. I can't remember exactly, from Shanghai Disney, and like different like cast member costumes and stuff like that. And it's a pretty cool little exhibit.
Even the like historical stuff in China is pretty cool.
Yeah, and a lot of times, like, you know, the galleries are indoors and very often looked over, so it's like a quiet, air-conditioned spot to hang out for a second.
Brian, what's your favorite thing to do as like a downtime thing in China?
You know, I really like Reflections of China. I think it's a nice little, you know, educational but, you know, visually pretty stunning film to look at. So
I've never watched it. I'm awful.
A lot of the videos that they have are really good in a lot of these countries. It's worth, you know, if you haven't seen it, watch it once at the very least.
And just kind of an aside, I'm pretty excited about the new Circle Vision movies that are coming. So
Yeah, those are going to be really cool. I like the whole circle vision concept.
Yeah. Now that that technology has progressed so much, and they're saying that they're all going to be seamless now, where it's not the individual screens with the the borders in between them. I think it'll be a lot better.
Yeah, I can totally agree with that.
The acrobats are pretty cool too.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. If you are ever walking by and they are out, it's one of the coolest shows, I think, at Disney that you can just walk up on.
I like that a lot of the countries in World Showcase haven't gotten rid of that Streetmosphere style stuff, because a lot of them are really unique and really cool, like specifically the acrobats. So after that, we have the African Trading Post that most people don't really care about.
I don't count that as an official stop on the Drinking Around the World tour, just saying.
Yeah, I don't really either, but I wanted to bring it up just in case, so people can't be like, hey, you missed the African Trading Post. There's not really anything special in here.
They do actually have an like a frozen lemonade alcoholic beverage that's really tasty, but I only drink that if I'm not trying to fit 11 other drinks in.
Yeah, that sounds dangerous. So we can move on to Germany, which Germany is pretty much, as you would expect, beer country.
This is my favorite stop if I am drinking at Epcot.
So do you have a choice specifically?
Absolutely, and it's not only my favorite one at Epcot, it's actually probably my favorite beer. It's the Schofferhofer at the little beer stand that's across from Caramel Kuka. And I would recommend getting it because it's, one, it's just delicious. It's a grapefruit Hefeweizen, and it's also pretty low on the alcohol volume. I think it's like 2.5%. So it's basically like half of a Hefeweizen and then half grapefruit juice, and it's super refreshing. But it still counts as a drink. So that would be my recommendation.
That is also my choice. And fun fact, they sell that at a lot of canals. So sometimes, like, when I'm in the mood to have like a drink and I'm kind of missing Disney a little bit, I'll go see if my canals has it. And a lot of times they'll sell it in like a 4-pack. It's very weird to not have it in Disney.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask, have you guys ever had it's like the Stiegel Radler? It kind of sounds like the same thing here, so I'm just wondering if they taste similar, if you've had them.
I
haven't.
No. This is basic. I think it's just like a shandy, so it's like half beer, half like grapefruit soda kind of thing. And it's actually really tasty, and I don't like beer at all, so I was like, maybe this is something I could drink next time to give it a try.
Definitely give it a try. If you don't like grapefruit, it's definitely not like very good, because it does have kind of like that strong taste that grapefruit does. But if you can get past that, I honestly would recommend this to pretty much anyone.
Yeah, if you don't like beer, you might like this. If you don't like grapefruit, you definitely won't.
But outside of the beer, you can also get shots of Jaeger, and there's a wine cellar that offers different flights. Pretty much standard is the beer, I would say.
There's also it's like apple shot. It's like caramel corn apple something kind of shot that you can get at the little beer stand, and I've had it and it's pretty good.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
That does sound really good. I'm a sucker for like apple ciders and stuff like that, so that would be probably a very good place for me to try.
I gotta say though, the wine was kind of disappointing, especially to me, because I like really sweet wine, so I like Riesling, and Riesling is from Germany, and the Riesling that I've had here is not sweet. Like, it's not good to me. But I don't know. We also kind of made the joke that it's not sweet because neither are the cast members. And I can say that because my family is German. German people are not always the nicest people.
I will say that this is probably like, if you're not a beer drinker, this is going to be a very hard one to find something in.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like you kind of have to know that going into it.
Yeah, that's true. But snacks and stuff like that, you have pretzels. That's kind of like an expectation. You can also get quick service on like the inside right before Beer Garden. I can't remember what that place is called, but their food is okay. And there's plenty of stores to walk around in here. Mm-hmm. What is your recommendation on this one?
So I would say, as long as you like caramels, to go to Caramel Kuka, because they have just an assortment of stuff. Obviously, it's all caramel based, but you know, if you do like it, I love the I forget what it was, like an apple pie kind of cookie, but it was like basically apple and caramel drizzled on it, and it was just really, really good.
That does sound good.
That sounds really good.
It doesn't hurt that this place is sponsored by Werther's Original.
Yeah.
Have you guys had the pretzels here, though? In Germany?
I want to say I have. I can't remember off the top of my head.
I've heard that, I've never had them, but I've heard they're actually really good, which is exciting to have like a decent pretzel in Disney World. But
you're telling me you don't like Mickey pretzels?
No. Listen to any podcast where we talk about food, and you know that I don't like Mickey pretzels.
But I've heard they're pretty good too. I haven't tried one, so I really can't comment.
Yeah, I need to get around to doing it.
So after that, we've got Italy. The one place that I have been in Italy is the wine cellar. We did a wine flight when we did it, and that was really good. I kind of thought that like Italy and France were the two places that I had to do wine flights, so those are the only two that I like actually have ever done there, and I really enjoyed them. I honestly cannot tell you what I had here, but it was good.
Yeah, I've had several of the wines here, and they've all been really good.
The one thing I do have to say, keeping with my recommendations to like keep quiet, keep some downtime, and catch some other things, this is probably my favorite place to just stop, because one, you have Via Napoli, and listen to any podcast where we've talked about Via Napoli. But also the streetmosphere here is really cool too. There's a juggler that's always outside.
Oh my god, I love him.
Yep, so much fun to just watch him.
He's hilarious.
He is.
His name is Sergio, just for anybody who's wondering.
Yes. But the best part is he's a mime too, because he doesn't really like talk at all. He just blows his whistle, and his show is just so much fun. If you ever get the chance to check it out, just check it out.
Yeah, and I love how interactive it is. So, like, he always will pick people out in the crowd, and I've gotten picked before, and he does like kind of like cutesy funny stuff. Like, he has the soccer balls that he's juggling or whatever, and then he makes you, like, he gives you a ball, and he has like a net, and he wants you to like throw it into the net, and he'll like move it slightly so it doesn't make it in, and like look at you like, come on. But then he'll like give it to a kid, and they'll make it in like first try, and everybody laughs. It's really cute.
He does he also does this soccer balls with the Mickey ears too. That's like the one thing that I always remember.
So cute. Yeah, and it's amazing that it's this one guy. Like, it's not like someone that trades in and out and does the same thing. It's always the same guy. I've even seen him performing at the boardwalk before.
Really? I didn't know he performs at the boardwalk.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Have you tried anything here, Brian?
No, I'm not a big wine fan, so it's another one I generally don't hit.
But this is one that we can all gush about Via Napoli on, so.
Finally. It was so good.
Did you talk about your experience with Via Napoli on the show last week? I know you talked to us about it.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think it was just like off the air. But yeah, man, it was delicious. And I'm a huge pizza fan. And I would definitely put it in like my top 5 of like all the pizza I've ever had. And so it was like me, my dad, and my boyfriend, and we got the half-meter pizza, thinking like, we all love pizza. This is going to be no problem. But that thing is huge. And we could not even, like, the 3 of us couldn't even finish it. So, buyer beware. Be very hungry.
But it's so good, though. Like, this is the best pizza on property.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, I'm glad I finally got to try it.
I'm happy you did, too.
I've never heard anyone go to it and not absolutely love it.
Oh, and
Well-
Kirsten, if you're listening, you were right. The waiters are attractive.
There it is.
Well, so off of that, from my perspective, because, not checking out the waiters, their wait staff is also really attentive, too. Like, I've never had bad service at this, like, quick service location. Or this restaurant. I don't know why I said quick service.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It's like, because one of my biggest pet peeves is when you like sit at the table and your water's empty, like, 10 minutes before they notice. And I was like, my water didn't even get like close to empty, and they kept refilling it. They're super attentive. I think they have like the wait staff, but then they also have like serving assistants. So I think that helps.
Well, the funny thing about this, like, one of the big things I remember is the first trip that my girlfriend and I went on was, like, an anniversary trip. And we got the buttons that said, we're celebrating, etc., and all that stuff. And I had mine on my camera bag, which was strapped onto the back of my chair. And she wasn't wearing hers when we went to Via Napoli. But this was the only restaurant that actually, like, said anything to us and did, like, anything. So they brought out like a dessert. I forget what it was. Like a little chocolate cake, like cupcake for us to share, and they wrote in chocolate "Happy Anniversary" on it. It was the cutest thing ever.
Aww.
And it was in like it was just the fact that both of our buttons were in like unnoticeable spots, and they still somehow managed to notice and did something. It was just like that extra little gesture that's always gonna kind of stick with me.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So I will always be going back to Via Napoli. But back on topic of drinking, we have the American Pavilion next, which I also feel like is really underwhelming. Does anybody else feel that way?
I mean, it's underwhelming in general, not even talking
Yeah.
about the alcohol.
I mean, that's what we touched on last week. If it's the culture of the majority of the people that are visiting it, it doesn't really like make sense for it to be like a cool stop that's going to give you something different. If all they're offering is beers that you could go out and buy, here it's not really that special.
Yeah, I guess maybe going back to the whole thing about maybe somebody that isn't from the United States would think it was cool because, I don't know, is that kind of beer available at regular, like any random bar at a random country? Because like
Wow.
any bar in the United States, you can go and get an Angry Orchard or whatever.
Yeah.
Sam Adams.
Yeah. So maybe it's different for them, but I don't know. I feel like if I were a beer drinker, it would still be underwhelming if I wasn't from the United States because there's all these other countries with probably better beer.
I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. My favorite place to get a beer is England, and I'll get to that, but I don't know. The cool thing about here is that they offer like different craft beers from around the country, which may not be accessible, but it's still like super underwhelming.
The only thing I will say is that Hanson has a brewery apparently now.
Oh, God.
And they carry their beers. I think just during festivals they might carry it like year round, but one of the beers is called Hops. And I thought that was funny.
It's
That pun's too bad even for me.
Oh, no.
I like some bad puns now.
I've heard that pun so many times because of, like, their beer. And I want to try it just to say I did because it's such a bad pun. But that pun is too bad for me, too.
I love it.
I feel like, did they even want to go into making a brewery, or did they just, like, want the pun,
Probably a little of both, maybe.
Yeah, they were just
what else is Hanson doing?
sitting around joking about puns, and they're like, we should definitely like make a beer. Like, let's actually do it. We have some money saved up from our one single.
Exactly. Like, what else can they do? Besides play Food and Wine. But they do also offer cheese and jalapeno stuffed pretzels here, which are okay. I have no comment on them.
I've never had them, but you can get those at Wawa, so that doesn't really entice me.
Next stop is Japan, which the only thing I've ever done here was there's a sake bar in their gift shop, which is pretty cool. I've done that.
Yeah, I've had a few of the sakis.
I can't remember. Is this the one that has the little frozen alcoholic snow cone things out at the front?
It is.
Okay, I have had one of those, and those are really good.
I haven't, but I've wanted to, so glad that you have a good recommendation.
Yeah. Plus, it's cool. It's a snow cone. You get it a different way than like in a drink form, and it's also really refreshing as you're walking around EPCOT.
Yeah, I bet. So, have you had any of the sakis, Brian?
I haven't.
But you have, Mario?
I have.
There
was like a flower sake. I can't remember what it was called, but that was the one that they had both times that I was there, and it was really good.
I've had a couple of really good ones. I had like one that was like peach flavored, and there was another fruity one. I can't remember like what fruit, but then it's called like the cloudy sake, and it's like the highest alcohol content one. It's like super duper strong, but it's the same price as all the other ones. I was like, yeah, why not? And it was
go big or go home.
I was about to say, I thought I was gonna die. It was like, I don't normally like sake unless it's super sweet, but this was like some serious, like if you are a hardcore sake drinker, you would probably like this. So, but they have such a big selection, and the cast members are always so nice. They're always willing to give you recommendations.
And the one cool thing that they did when I did it the first time was I went with 3 of my other friends, and we were like, at this point, it's like the middle stop. So you're like a little tipsy, and we'd asked them to write our names on the glasses just in case we put them down, we would be able to pick them up. And they actually wrote like Japanese characters on them. I don't know if like they actually said our name or anything. They probably said something completely different, but that was pretty cool. And I actually I kept my glass because of that.
I've had cast members here write quote my name in Japanese several times, and I never thought about it. I need to just like grab all of the things that I've had and look at them and see if they're actually the same.
That would be a good idea. That way to see if it's like, actually
legit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll keep you guys posted.
That's always going to be my recommendation is this sake here because like La Cava, they're pretty knowledgeable about what they're serving you, and they'll give you recommendations based off of what you like.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I think that's kind of the whole point of doing Drink Around the World, right? It's not just to have a drink in every country. It's to have a drink that is kind of representative of that country.
Right.
Right. And that's I think the best part of it is like trying different things that are specific, which is why I tend to lean towards like the wine in Italy and the beer in Germany, stuff that's, you can only get in that country, or stuff that's unique to it.
Yeah, like cultural.
Which, after that, we've got Morocco. Oh, we didn't do like little things that you can do to kind of catch your breath here.
Oh my God,
like,
the store.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
I feel like everything outside of Like, I think Italy is a good place to kind of like cool down because they have like some streetmosphere stuff. But then like the middle section, there's not really a lot to do because you go from the American Pavilion to Japan, which has like the store and all that, which is cool. And I could definitely kill some time there, but there's no like shows or anything to look at. Morocco, France, and then back out to Canada. So this is like, if this is the end, you're pushing through a lot of this.
They have those little drummers, at least. That's kind of cool.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot about them.
And you can pick a pearl. That's a little fun activity.
Have you guys done the pick a pearl thing?
I haven't done it here. I've done it like at, a different place on vacation, but everybody always seems to have such a good time.
It's really fun. I've done it once, and we really enjoyed doing it. It was cool, and the cast members really get into it. So that's always a fun thing.
Yeah, always when I'm like shopping around, like hearing it going on in the background, and they're yelling.
It's hard to miss.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. There's like, it's funny to look up the different strategies that people have for this online too, because like some people will say if you pick the biggest and ugliest pearl, you'll get like the best, or the biggest and ugliest oyster, you'll get the best pearl. And it's just like, I really don't think that there's actually a strategy to doing it.
Yeah, I don't know how you would. Because, don't they, essentially, they just, like, put a little piece of sand or whatever in each one and hope for the best?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it really is just, like, total luck of the draw, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. And it's a lot of fun. It's, like I said, the cast members really get into it, so it's hard not to have a good time. Even if you go and just watch them do it, it's fun.
Mm-hmm. Plus, you could get it set into jewelry, which is kind of cool, too.
But also really expensive.
Yeah.
Like, we did the pick a pearl thing, and that, like, that's a little bit expensive, but you know, it's not too bad. Where they really get you is the settings.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, we've got Morocco. I honestly could not find a drink menu here for any of this. I know that I had a sangria here when I did it, but I cannot remember what it was, cannot remember what it was called.
Spice Road Table is where it's at, man.
I still haven't eaten there.
Well, not just for the drinks, because they have like a walk-up bar. Like, you don't have to have a reservation, and the bartenders are always super nice, and they are very heavy-handed, so you get your money's worth there, which is awesome.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I always stop at Spice Road. They have pretty like good drinks too, like little like fruity things. Like I can't remember, it's called like Tangier Breeze or something, but it's like Midori and pineapple and some other stuff, and it's really good.
That sounds good. Have you been here, Brian?
I haven't, but Spice Road Table is definitely on my list of places I want to eat at, so I'll have to try a drink there too.
I've heard a lot of good things about the food here, so I'm definitely interested in trying it. I think the next trip I'll make a point to come here. So after that, we've got France, which is another spot that I did a wine cellar in. I know they also have slushies here. There's a Grey Goose slushie and a Grand Marnier orange slushie at the France Pavilion. I've never had those, so I can't comment on them. But go ahead. I was just gonna say I actually liked the wine that I had here better than the wine that I had in Italy, if I remember correctly.
I think I've had wine here, but I normally go for like the novelty type of drinks. Like one year at a Flower and Garden, they had a Grand Marnier ice pop. So it was basically like a push pop, but it was kind of like, it wasn't the same consistency, but it was like had Grand Marnier and like vodka and peach and like other fruity stuff, and it was really good. And then this time around I had frosé, so frozen rosé, and it was delicious. So the novelty things are always a good go-to in France because they tend to be pretty good.
The slushies are really good.
Yeah, have you had the slushies? Well, obviously you said they're really good. Have you had both of them, or have you had like one?
I've only had the Grand Marnier one.
That one actually sounds better, I think. Did it taste like alcohol at all? Because it like just, I don't know, from like all the stuff I looked at online, it kind of sounded more like it would be just an orange slushy.
I mean, you could definitely taste some of the alcohol in there, but it wasn't like overwhelming. So
that's definitely a good thing.
I feel like, yeah, if you started in Mexico, though, by the time you got over here, if you get one of these, you're probably not going to taste the alcohol. So.
That's the funny thing. Like, honestly, if you're not like an alcohol person, you probably should start in Canada and go the other way around. Start yourself light and work your way to the harder stuff. But like,
Get brave.
right. I can't picture myself starting anywhere other than Mexico. But anything that you guys do in here for fun? I know that one of the places that we really like is there's a like a pastry cafe that's all the way in the back of the France Pavilion. That's pretty cool. Usually pretty quiet too.
Oh, I've never seen it quiet, but I still go there every single time.
Really? It's always quiet when I'm in there.
I need to just figure out what time of year you go and just go that time, because you always seem to get good luck.
So, I mean, I'll give my secret out. I always go like the first week of September is usually a pretty good time because schools up here aren't in session yet, so it's still like summertime for pretty much everyone up here. But Florida schools go back like that first week. So it's real easy to travel. Like if, my family's going and stuff like that, we'll go that week. And it's also quiet because you don't have the local traffic.
But, yeah, the only time I think I've been in September was Labor Day, which I think is the exception to the rule.
Yeah, that sounds like a bad idea. Usually we'll like figure out when Florida goes back to school in that first week. We'll go down then.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But off of that, I mean, there's not really too much to do in here. There's the Circle Vision movie.
If you can start, this is the new Drinking Around the World challenge, all right?
Oh, no.
You gotta start in Mexico, and you have to make it to France, and then you have to sit through Impressions de France and not fall asleep. And if you do that, you deserve some kind of super special award.
Oh.
Is it super boring? I've never watched it.
It's I can see some people would say it's boring. I thought it was, how do I want to word this? It was very
calming.
relaxing.
Yeah.
Yes. Like it is definitely one to go to if you want to catch a break. I can definitely see where people might think it's boring. It's a lot of like landscape shots.
It's like sort
of France.
Without the
Yes, with somebody very like softly speaking the narration to you. So
yeah, it's very easy to fall asleep in that one. Not that I've done that, but I can see how you would. But there's a lot of stores and stuff to go into in France too, so that would be a cool way to kind of relax. I can't think of any specific snacks in here that I would.
Oh, I can. The macaron ice cream sandwiches.
Oh yeah, I forgot about them.
They are so good. I mean, I love macarons anyway, but put ice cream in between.
I mean, it sounds pretty good. I would definitely give that a shot.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it.
So after that, we've got my favorite country to drink around the world at, United Kingdom. Rose and Crown Pub is like my favorite spot on this tour. It's always super crowded.
Always.
Which, like, if you can't do crowds, like, you're gonna have to move. But there's, like, I think this is probably my favorite spot to go to. I had a oh my gosh, I forget what it was. I think it was a black and tan beer, and it was a mixture of two different beers like put together, and it was really good. I honestly cannot remember what was in it because at this point I was already definitely feeling the side effects. But really good, really fun place to go, and it definitely has that like authentic pub feel. So you get the experience as well.
For sure. I actually went to Epcot with a friend of mine that's British, and we went into Rose and Crown, and I asked him, I was like, so like how is this compared to like actual pubs in the UK? And he's like, oh, this is spot on. Like all the little trinkets on like the shelves and stuff, and how crowded it is, and just the overall vibe. He said it was like exactly like a pub in the UK.
That makes me really happy.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Sometimes if you go during the day, there's a lady playing piano that's really entertaining. I don't know if you guys have ever seen her. Yeah, she's really cool, and she has on like the sparkly like flag dress thing. It's really cool.
Have you tried anything here, Brian?
I have. I usually go get a Pim's cup from the bar at Rose and Crown. I guess that's kind of a British thing, so.
I always get the Welsh Dragon. Again, I'm big on novelty drinks.
Have you guys tried any of like the snacks and stuff here? Because I've heard the fish and chips are good. But
Fish and chips are incredible.
I haven't had the fish, but the chips are incredible. Yeah, I would agree.
That's the only thing that I can think of as far as snacks go.
A cool thing to do, like to kind of hang around here, is during the festivals, they usually will have like a free tea garden tour, at least during Flower and Garden. And they have, like the little teacups set around the little garden area, and they'll have like an actual person like come and like kind of give you the history of tea and like the differences and how kind of different flavors and blends developed. And I'm like a tea nerd, so I was like super excited about it, and it was really cool. Plus it's just like it's awesome to hear a British person talking for like 15 minutes.
And if it's not Flower and Garden Festival or Food and Wine Festival, the gardens behind the pavilion are also really nice to kind of just walk around and sit in as well.
Oh yeah.
And the Twining store in general, just the tea store, they usually will have like samples and stuff, and they have a huge selection of different teas, one of which is called Buttermint, and the only places you can buy it in store in the United States is there.
Huh, that's really cool. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So are we ready to move on to the last and probably most underwhelming stop?
Womp womp.
So this is the reason that I think next time I do Drinking Around the World, I'm going to start in this pavilion and work the opposite way. But the last stop is Canada, and I hardly consider that a country.
Whoa.
Wow.
No, I'm kidding. But drunk me was not when we did this the first time, and I was very angry about the fact that we had to go here. So...
Spoken like a true American.
I know that they have a lot of beer, and it's not very great. I feel like the only one I remember was Moosehead, which is so super Canadian.
Yeah, I've had the apple ice wine, which is, it's not, like, it's fine, it's pretty good, but it's literally like $9, and you get like a shot glass size almost. And
it's so upsetting.
They do not disclose that before you pay. It's a little upset about that one, but at least it tasted good.
That's super upsetting because as you were talking about that, I was like, oh, that sounds really good. And then you said it was like a shot glass.
Like, it's a little bit bigger than a shot glass, but not by much. I was just like, really? This is expensive. But
Have you tried anything here, Brian?
I have never had any alcoholic drink in Canada.
Probably smart. But Canada's a fun pavilion to walk around in, just because it's got like the mini Niagara Falls, it's got the gift store, and you can go see another Circle Vision movie that's got Martin Short in it. That one.
And I think the gardens here too are probably one of the most beautiful places in Epcot.
Yeah, I would agree to that. So, with that said, last thing I want to talk about with drinking around the world. Any favorite drinks? Any tips you guys want to share? Any fun stories? We'll end with fun stories. So tips and favorite drinks. I think this is probably the next thing we should talk about.
well, Brian mentioning the gardens in Canada made me remember that I totally didn't mention that cute little train town in Germany.
Oh yeah.
Oh, in Germany?
I
Yeah.
love watching that because it's like a little lizard town. They're always like on the roofs of the buildings sunning and stuff, and I swear they play like chicken or something with those trains because I've seen them lay on the tracks, and I've like, oh my god, I'm about to watch this lizard get run over by this train, and then at the very last second they move. But it's super entertaining, so I'd highly recommend it.
I think that's like my big recommendation for this is like pace yourself and see everything that World Showcase has to see. While drinking around the world is super fun, there's so much in World Showcase that's really cool to walk around and look at, and take your time. Obviously, if you finish all 11 countries in 2 hours, you're going to be pretty bad by the end of it, and you're going to miss a lot of cool stuff.
Honestly, I would recommend that if you're dead set on doing drinking around the world, you should take another day to go to Epcot and just enjoy it, because I never, like, the 2 times that I've done it, like, luckily I've been to Epcot enough times where I know the gist of the park and I've gotten to experience most of the stuff, so the drinking wasn't really detrimental to my vacation. But I like imagining somebody who doesn't go very often, like, that doesn't seem like the best way, or at least you can't experience Epcot the right way if you're plastered, in my opinion. So I would definitely recommend going on a different day as well, if this is like a once in a lifetime or once in a while kind of trip.
I would also say that be mindful of the fact that while Epcot is the park that does serve the most alcohol, just be mindful that there are families and stuff around too. Epcot's kind of gotten a bad rep for being like the drunk park in that sense, and like, you just need to pay attention, I think.
Yeah, even if there weren't families and little kids, just don't be that obnoxious guy.
Yeah.
Nobody likes that guy.
Any other tips, anything else you guys want to share about that before we move on to fun stories?
No, I think it's good.
Okay. Did you have any interesting stories you wanted to share about drinking around the world? Anything fun that's happened to you, or any cool cast member interactions? Or do we just want to cut that out too?
I'm trying to think of ones that are appropriate for this podcast.
I know I've told you guys this, but I don't think I've told it on air. When we went the first time, we were drinking around the world for my 21st birthday, and it was like 3 months after I turned 21. But me being me, I had to get the buttons for it. So I got the one that said it's my birthday, and all my friends had to wear the I'm celebrating one. So we go into Epcot, and as we're going through the bag check, the security guard like walks over to us and he goes, "Oh, it's your birthday, you're 21, right?" And I went, "Yeah, I just turned 21." And he looks at my friends and he goes, he looks at them, he's like, "Oh yeah, you guys are over 21 too." And they go, yeah, that's obviously what we're here for." And he goes, okay, remember the word of the day is responsibility. And he looks at my two friends and he like cups his hand over his mouth and like whispers really loudly and goes, make sure you watch him. And, like, I know that like most people would probably find that like, wow, that was kind of rude. But like, I love when cast members do stuff like that. Like, it's just so fun. And obviously he wasn't being mean.
Yeah, no, that's cute.
Obviously, there's been some other bad incidents where people have climbed, like, the pyramid in Mexico and stuff.
I was going to say, can we just put out a shout-out that a guy that climbed the Mexico pyramid, send us an email. We would just love to hear about what happened that day.
Oh, my God, yes.
We would love to hear about your life ban from Disney.
I don't have proof that he was doing drinking around the world, but I have a very, very strong feeling he was.
Yeah. The one funny thing that's happened like that to us was we were in Japan and we had just gotten our glasses of sake the one time that I did it with my family. And my cousin thought it would be fun to slide down the railing that's like right by that giant koi pond. And he went to go sit on the railing and he flipped over and cracked his glass of sake behind him.
Ooh.
Yikes.
That was a fun one. I have pictures of that too, weirdly enough. I got like the action shots of him falling backwards.
That's awesome. Yeah, man. That guy that ran up the pyramid, I feel bad for you, but thank you for that. Thanks for that entertainment.
And
that enriched my life. When we did it in 2014, it was me, my dad, and my brother. And my dad told me this. I don't remember doing this, but apparently we were singing Let It Go really loudly as we were like walking out of the park. And my brother was so embarrassed. He's walking like 10 feet ahead of us trying to pretend that we didn't exist.
Oh, that's funny.
I also thought that I did really good that time because I was like, I was snacking, I was drinking water, I just looked like a normal person. And then my dad told me that, and I was like, okay, maybe not. And then I was talking about it the next day to my cousin. I was like, yeah, like I felt like I wasn't, like I did really well. And like nobody could even tell I'd been drinking. And she was like, oh yeah, we could. When you got back to the hotel, we could tell you had been drinking all day long. I was like, oh man.
Oh, that's funny. But is there anything else you guys want to touch on before we tie up our drinking around the world stuff?
No.
Cool. So before we tie this week up, we got an email from one of our listeners who, it was kind of vague, so we're going to keep it kind of secretive. They asked us for some Disney date advice, which is kind of cool. Fun little topic that took some thinking to kind of kickstart some gears in our heads. So we are going to give this listener, who we are going to, like I said, not name, some date ideas, some different things that we think might be cool for like a romantic park day. Did you guys have anything specific in mind?
This is one of those that's kind of hard without knowing the people, obviously. But, it kind of depends on the stuff that you're into. If you want to do some stuff that's maybe outside the park and a little more one-on-one for more of a date type atmosphere, I would suggest, and this might sound kind of cheesy or corny or whatever, but going and playing putt-putt. Me and my fiance have done this before, and it's a lot of fun, and it's kind of a way to get away from the crowds and do something that's more, between the two of you.
Yeah, no, that sounds fun.
Also, off of that cheesy, cliche, like romantic-y type things, watch the fireworks from somewhere that isn't the parks.
Oh, yeah.
The Poly Beach.
Yes, absolutely.
This is also a really weird spot to watch it from, but totally secluded. The docks at the TTC, I've heard, are really cool to watch them from. Anywhere that they pipe the music in and you can still see the fireworks. Like, the bridge on the Contemporary is pretty cool. California Grill is pretty cool to watch them from. So there's a couple places you can see the fireworks. That's a pretty cool date idea.
Bet that hot tub in the bungalow's a great place to watch it too.
Oh gosh.
If you want to spend $2,000 a night.
Well, another cool thing, and I know this is probably priced out by a lot of people, but off of that we stayed at Bay Lake Towers. That's what it's called, because my aunt's DVC, and from the balconies they actually pipe the music in too. So you can
that's
actually
cool.
put on. Well, there's like a station you can put on the TV, and you can hear the music come in, and you can kind of like pipe it out to your balcony and sit and watch the fireworks. And I think that's probably one of my favorite
awesome.
places that I've ever watched Wishes from.
Yeah, I wonder how it would be to watch Happily Ever After from one of these places now, because it's so heavily projection mapping.
You'd probably lose a lot, but I still think it would be cool because you get the music, you get some fireworks. It's still kind of like quiet and secluded.
Yeah, for sure.
But off of that, another thing I thought about was you can rent like the pontoon boats.
Oh, that's
Those are
good.
cool. I know that you can rent them for. I know you used to be able to do it for Wishes, but I know you can also do it for Illuminations, and I feel like that would be really cool. I've never done that, but I wanna say that would probably be pretty cool.
My ideas, I'll start with my kind of small one. I was just thinking about when we stayed at Port Orleans, how much fun we had just like riding the bikes down like along the river. And you can rent the bikes at any of the resorts that has like a marina. So I think that would be a fun date night or date day.
Yeah.
Is like boardwalk, and you can even rent the Surrey bikes so you can like sit beside each other and kind of chit chat or whatever. But going to like a more pricey and extreme, since the title of the email says Ultimate Disney Date. Just me personally, when we did Dive Quest when we went a couple weeks ago, it was absolutely amazing. But you can also there's one that you don't have to be scuba certified to do. This called like Aqua Seas Tour or something like that.
Yeah,
And
that's it.
yeah, and I feel like that would, if your budget's big enough, I think that could be a pretty cool one too.
And kind of like off what Brian said, it really depends on the person too. Like, I mean, this is just me and my relationship. I know that when we go to Disney, we have to schedule one dinner reservation at Be Our Guest, because that is like my girlfriend's ultimate romantic date. And it's just, that would not be a romantic date for anyone. But, that's the thing that she likes. So there's plenty of places that you can go to have like a nice dinner. If you want to be extreme, you could probably do Victoria and Albert's, and that would be the ultimate romantic date. Mm-hmm. But other than that, like, do something that you know that they really like, and capitalize on the fact that Disney does a lot of like big stuff, I guess. Mm-hmm. I feel like Disney can be the ultimate romantic destination if you want it to be.
Yeah, there's a ton of different activities that you can do that are like extra. You're going to have to pay a little bit of extra cost, but things that are kind of off the beaten path is definitely going to be more personal and more, memorable experience. So, and I mean, there's whatever interest you have, there's probably something that you'll enjoy. So just look into their backstage tours and different, experiences and stuff like that. And I'm sure you can find something you like.
So, since we kind of had a little bit of a confusion on this one, I don't know if we want to cut this out or not. I want to ask Brian a question, since obviously, congratulations, by the way, you're getting married this weekend.
Yeah.
And didn't you and your fiance get engaged in Disney?
I did. I proposed at Port Orleans Riverside, actually. So we went and ate at Boat Rights, which was one of our favorite restaurants on Disney property. And then we walked around the grounds, which I think the grounds are beautiful there. And then, I proposed in front of the water wheel on the little boardwalk area out there. So, yeah.
That's so cute.
See,
yeah.
He sounds so thrilled. Really hope she doesn't listen to the show.
She does.
But no, that's cool. And the nice thing about like that is that it's super like there's a lot of quiet spots in Disney, and I think that that's really cool that you capitalized on the fact that those are some of your favorite places, and it was super personal to you guys.
And that was one thing, like, especially, knowing my fiance, she would not have wanted to have done it, like, in a very public area. But we still, like, obviously we both really love Disney, so I wanted to do it somewhere at Disney, but not, do it in the middle of the theme park, where I know that would make her super duper embarrassed and uncomfortable. So that's one of the big reasons why I went with it.
Yep. My girlfriend's the same way. She's told me a couple times, like, obviously we both love Disney. This is like a place that we go now, but if you ever did it anywhere super public, I'd be too embarrassed to say anything. So, but I think I've pretty much said all of my romantic date ideas. What about you guys? Anything else before we tie it up? Then that's going to do it for us this week. Thanks for joining us again on another episode of the Station 71 podcast. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes. Leave us an iTunes review as well. We'll be happy to discuss your questions, comments, concerns, anything that you have to talk about on the show. If you want to get in touch with us, you can find us on facebook.com/Station71pod. We're on Twitter at Station71pod, Instagram at Station71podcast, and you can shoot us a listener email at Station71podcast@gmail.com. Thanks for joining us again. We hope you enjoyed your ride, and we'll see you real soon.